I don't have his mind. As soon as he gets a chance, he's going to go back again. But if I ignore the body and I get the mind, if I have the mind, I have the body. So in a situation like that, what I do is I don't pull his head up. Okay, I take the reins and I bounce that bit that's in its mouth. I bounce it pretty sharp. And he decides in his mind, I don't like that. I think I will pick my head up. And it's like, I'm not going to pick your head up. That's what you have a neck for. Okay? You have that neck. That's what it's for. I'm not picking your head up. I'm going to suggest to you that you decide it's in your best interest for you to pick your head up. And we go for the mind. And how much in life, you've got all these folks working for you here, and you can't physically browbeat and nag and threaten. You've tried. Does it work?
No. They're belligerent.
Yeah, I've already heard stories. Yeah, it's
they're abused.
Yeah, but you want to make things so that they decide that if this is what Chris wants done, it's in my best interest. I want to go do that.
Yeah.
And again, it's communication, and again, it's getting in the horse's mind and working with the horse in that manner. I'll give you an illustration if I can. All right. One of the cardinal sins in my book is when I go to get on a horse and the horse walks off. When I'm part way up, I'm stepping up, I'm swinging my leg over and he's walking, he's leaving. Okay. That's a cardinal sin. So we have a difference of opinion here, me and the horse. It's like, I want you to plant your feet and I want you to be still while I get on, and then I'll tell you when I want you to go. He says, well, I want to go. So I'm not going to sit there and pull back and say, whoa, and do that one-legged hop along Cassidy down while I'm trying to get in the saddle. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to physically hold him back. I'm going to put my toe in the stirrup, and I'm going to go to step up, and when he walks off, I'm going to step back out, and I'm going to make him keep walking in a circle around me 8 or 10 times. I'm like, I wanted you to stand still, but you want to walk. I tell you what, I'm a nice guy. I'm going to let you walk. I'm going to let you do what you want in a controlled manner. You pick the tune and I'll pick the dance, and I'll make him walk around. He's like, I don't want to walk anymore, but you said that's what you wanted. So I'm letting you do what you want. He's like, I don't want to walk anymore. Okay, stop. Whoa. I want you to stand here while I get in the saddle. And he says, and it may take a couple of times, but after a while, he says, you know what? I think what I want to do is I want to stand here while he gets in the saddle. So we communicate, and when I got his mind, when I changed his want to, I didn't have to fight with his body. And so that's how you approach it. You understand and you communicate.
I've heard you say that sometimes you have to apologize to the horse for being an idiot.
Yes.
How do you apologize to a horse?
They don't care. I apologize to the horse for my sake. I mean, nothing the horse does is personal. All right. The horse will buck you off. They won't come back and apologize to you. They did what they did because that's what they felt was necessary at the time. And so they don't operate on that wavelength. But there's times when I do something and it turns out I'm like, that was my fault and that was stupid. The horse doesn't take it personal either. And I can apologize to the horse, and the horse, it just isn't in his thing. But I apologize to the horse to humble myself and to bring myself down and to say, look, you need to pay attention, dummy, and not do that again. The horse he doesn't want an apology. He just doesn't want you to do it again.
Sounds like you've learned a lot to do with patience and humility through this.
Yeah. And part of it is when you're young, you can pick a fight and you can win some of them. And when you're older and you're busted up, I got plates and screws in my neck and I got joints are out of shape and stuff. You're not going to win that fight anyhow, not physically anymore. And so that's where you start saying, you know what, I need to approach this in a better way.
Plates and screws in the neck.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard you say that not most of those were actually from horsing accidents, but you were in a plane crash, a car crash, and you rolled a motorhome off a hill?
I was a passenger off a mountain in Alaska.
I need to hear those stories, please.
I spent a winter in Fort Yukon, which is above the Arctic Circle in Alaska, staying with a fella. And I had a little 180, a little Cessna 180 bush, I think it was 180. And we were flying out, and it was dead of winter. It was like 30 below zero. And in the back of that plane, we had like a 100-pound propane tank, a transmission out of a van, some spare tires. And so we're flying back south to Fairbanks. And when we landed as we're touching down in Fairbanks, we had a crosswind. And so you kind of tilt the plane as you're landed into that crosswind. And so as we touch down, and I'm sitting up on the co-pilot on the passenger side, I see the landing gear go wrong, the wheel and everything go rolling off across the tundra. And so I reach over and I'm like, hey, is that supposed to? And then that strut came down and hit, and we flipped and ground looped and carried on the runway.
With all of this washing machines,
all
ingredients
in the
inside.
Ding,
Ding, ding, ding, ding, ding.
There was a transmission out of a half-ton Chevy van and a 100-pound propane bottle. And
just flying around.
Yeah, it didn't hit us, which is good. But we stood out on that. Of course, I was wearing cowboy boots. So we're standing out on the runway in Fairbanks waiting for FAA to come out. And it's 30 below zero. And they come out and inspected. Then we picked up the wing, a bunch of us, and pushed the plane off the runways. And then I had to catch 2 more flights that day to get back home. So, yeah.
What about the motorhome?
Motorhome, I was a passenger in the back. We were coming down narrow road off the mountain. And the lady that was driving, there were a couple of teenagers in the seat right here. And they were fussing and bickering. And so she turned around to tell them to stop fussing. Hey, y'all stop fussing. And just drove right off. So we went down. I don't know how far down we went, but we slid down and hit and landed up against a bunch of trees down there.
No rolling?
No, it didn't roll.
Okay.
No. Yeah. So just life. And then, a lot of been bucked off a lot. Just
bumps
a lot
and bruises and
and
fractures and breaks.
Landing in places. And so it was accumulation of life. And then I was in the police academy, and we were studying Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I was doing a backwards tactical roll, and something popped in my neck, and I didn't say anything. And so then we went on a big run, and this run was we'd run for about a mile, and then we'd stop and drop and do burpees and bicycles and then jump up and run some more. And by the time we got back to the academy, my heart rate wouldn't go down. And then I had this weird feeling of like an electrical net in my body, and my heart rate would not go down. So finally they put me in an ambulance and took me to the hospital, and I was like that far away from severing my spinal cord. But it was already bad, way worse than I had no idea. And that backwards tactical roll had just brought it to the edge.
So maybe an odd blessing in some ways that it warned you, and that didn't occur when you got bucked off a horse.
Right. And I don't ride bucking horses anymore. I mean, I say that, you never know. A horse is always a horse is a horse. But after so many years, I can pretty well tell when one is a little hanky. And I'm like, I don't have anything to prove anymore. I'm not riding that horse.
If you haven't been feeling as sharp or as energized as you'd like, getting your blood work done is the best place to start, which is why I partnered with Function. They run lab tests twice a year that monitor over 100 biomarkers. They've got a team of expert physicians that take that data, put it in a simple dashboard, and give you actionable recommendations to improve your health and lifespan. Function track everything from your heart health to your hormone levels and your thyroid function, plus nutrient deficiencies. They even screen for 50 types of cancer at stage 1, which is 5 times more data than you get from your annual physical. Best of all, Dr. Andrew Huberman is their scientific advisor, and Dr. Mark Hyman is their chief medical officer, so you can trust that the data and insights you receive are scientifically sound and practical. Getting your blood work analyzed like this would usually cost thousands, but with Function, it is only $500. Function has a 300,000 person waitlist. Boo. But every Monday, they open up a few spots for Modern Wisdom listeners. Yay. Right now, you can get the exact same panels I get by going to the link in the description below or heading to functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. That's functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. You talk a lot about balance, the dangers of being out of balance.
Right.
Explain that to me.
Well, let's take any area. Okay, raising children. All right. I like to say that raising children is like holding a wet bar of soap. If you squeeze it too tight, it squeezes out, squirts out of your hands. If you don't hold it tight enough, it slides out of your hands. Raising children, you got to be balanced. There has to be discipline. We as human beings need discipline in our life, but there has to be love and grace and understanding. And so a lot of children who grow up with issues